AMD, they integrate within the red side of the processor industry and their journey as a challenger. Most of us should have questioned ourselves why the term Red Team has been associated with AMD for so long. What's the meaning of this frankly awkward title and where does it come from? The answer so is pretty simple. The reason why AMD has been constantly being associated with the color red is mainly due to the company itself marketing its product. They have marketed themselves as the main competitor to Intel, which is commonly referenced by the tech community as the blue side of the chip industry. Both the red and blue side have been at each other's throat since a decade ago, and they don't show any sign of calming down anytime soon. AMD Corporation was created by a group of engineers from Fairchild Conductor. Within that group of entrepreneurs, there is a guy called Jerry Sander. He was revered as one of the best sellers from Silicon Valley. AMD was created with a purpose to be the main competitor to Intel, which was already a big name monopolizing the processor industry in the 1970s. At the start, AMD was nothing more than a second-rate chip manufacturer compared to Intel. But that chance came in 1982, the moment when IBM forced Intel to include a subcontractor when they were working on the IBM PC. And with his grit, Jerry Sander had successfully convinced Big Blue to leave their seat to AMD. Since that moment, while there are some rare moments where AMD surpassed Intel, to boil it down, they have done nothing more than rebrand Intel processor into one of their own. Beginning with the model 80386 in 1985, Intel stopped publishing their design to the public domain. AMD has no other way than forcefully trying to analyze and copy Intel product. Yet, with each new reimagination, the complexity of Intel chip has only ever grown, making it more costly to replicate the process. However, AMD must compensate and follow on if they want to compete with Intel. After many years of developing, AMD released their first original chip, the K5. Despite this, the AMD K5 only has around the same efficiency as the Pentium 1, when the Pentium Pro was released 1 year prior. Things started to shift when a new name called Next Gen entered the processor industry. Next Gen only ever needed a few months to create a processor with the same capability as the Intel Pentium 2. However, even with their talented personnel, Next Gen is nothing more than a local business compared to Intel or even AMD. However, Bill Gates changed everything when he had a meeting with Atiq Raza, the Pakistani CEO of Next Gen. Bill mentioned that Next Gen and AMD are a perfect fit for each other and acted as a pathway for Atiq Raza and Jerry Sander to meet each other, resulting in the purchasing deal from AMD to acquire Next Gen, reported to have reached around $615 million. Bill Gates was right, and just sometime after Jerry Sander trusted Atiq Raza with the vice president role, AMD released the K6, finally solidifying themselves as a worthy competitor to Intel. If the AMD K6 was considered equal to an Intel product, the AMD K7 was when the corporation has actually gained the upper hand against Intel. Being the co-developer of an exclusive core-based semiconductor technology, along with Motorola Conductor, AMD reached a 180nm transistor 1 year faster than Intel. Follow-up was many improved and refined processor, propelling the company into new height. AMD started going into the most prosperous period yet, when DAC got sold to Compaq in 1998. Jerry Sander recruited every single engineer working on the cancelled Alpha project, improving the quality of the company personnel and product even further. Highlighted through when their Athlon 7K was regarded as the first chip to reach 1 GHz and support DDR, just as things seemed to be stable. Raza suddenly submitted a letter of resignation as the COO. Believed to a personal disagreement with the CEO, Raza left the company. But due to the monumental success the Athlon K7 brought them, AMD revenue still increased from $2.5 billion from 1998 to $4.6 billion into 2000. As replacement for Atiq Raza, Jerry Sander recruited Hector Ruiz, an important staff in Motorola Conductor. Immediately after joining the company, Hector Ruiz has created a pathway for AMD to develop into a premium processor manufacturer, notable enough to work with the big names like IBM and Dell. AMD decided to push straight for the server industry that of the time, Intel was holding control of. The AMD K8 was developed to prioritize a server called Opteron. With a built-in 64-bit structure, the AMD CPU supports Unix server with a storage bigger than 4GB, making headlines about how AMD's CPU is crushing Intel's with their efficiency, pursuing both IBM and HP to be their business partner. There was a time when the Opteron was bought out so much that AMD only ever received order from OEM manufacturer. However, AMD reportedly lost $177 million in revenue a few years after the release of Opteron, due to the careless construction of factories. After that incident, AMD regained their momentum and kept pursuing their original purpose. By the end of 2022, the red side of the processor industry has surpassed the blue side for the first time. This achievement is even more incredible when taken into consideration. Just a few years ago, AMD was on the verge of bankruptcy, but Intel still has their advantages. As consumers, we should expect the race to continue on as the new era of AMD chips like Ryzen or Radeon is brimming with potential, provoking Intel to give their response, prolonging the race between the red side and blue side of the tech industry further into the foreseeable future.